What do you think of this bottle?
It's lovely, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful?
Kind of hypnotizing, very Art Deco, and think of the Harlequin whenever I see this bottle. What do you think?
I just got Art Deco from
You
like
got
the
Art Deco?
jump. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a brand here that we're going to talk to you about called ADAMO Parfum. They have 5 fragrances, and we're going to break down the fragrances coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian, and I've got Joe here with me.
Hello, everyone.
Another house overview. This is a fairly new house, Adamo Parfums. They've got 5 fragrances, and they're all numbered. Numero uno. Well, I don't know if it's uno in Italian.
We won't try.
No, we're just gonna go with numero one. We're just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
So 5 different fragrances. Couldn't figure out who the perfumer behind these fragrances are, but they are parfum concentration. And we're going to do them in numerical order for you. The first one is number 1.
There you are.
Same kind of bottle, but it just has the number 1 on it rather than the number 5 that I was just showing you. This has notes of violet, raspberry, rum, cedarwood, patchouli, bay rose. Do you know what bay rose is?
Isn't that like similar to Centifolia rose?
It's actually pink pepper.
Oh my gosh, I am so uncultured in the world of fragrance. Look
No,
at that.
you know where I learned bay rose?
Where?
Because Le Labo has a fragrance called bay rose.
Uh-huh.
And I initially thought it was rose. I looked it up. It's pink pepper.
That's so interesting.
Rose as in rose.
Rose colored, yeah.
Rosé.
Yeah.
So bay. So that's what it is.
Okay.
So this has pink pepper in the notes, but what do you get with this one?
Well, first off, thank you for educating me. I appreciate that. I get a bit of a ozonic, boozy, fruity fragrance with this actually, and it's got woods obviously, but the violets come out for me. I get the violets quite a bit.
But do you really get violet leaves? You said ozonic. There's a freshness about it.
I think there is. I definitely get. It's in the background for sure. What kind of violet do you pick up from it? Because I get
a powdery violet, almost like makeup.
Okay.
And the fact that they're combining raspberry with violets, it's giving me a lipstick vibe.
Gotcha.
There's a booziness in the background for sure. Spiciness for the pink pepper, the bay rose.
It's a bit reminiscent of a certain
and
fragrance.
It does remind me a little bit of Dior Homme Parfum or Dior Homme Intense in this case. I quite like this one.
I think it's good. Yeah. I don't have this one ranked super, super high, but I think it's a really good fragrance.
For me, starts off with a bang at number 1. Number 2 and number 3 are a bit boring, sadly. I'm telling you right up front. And then it gets really great again with number 4 and number 5. But number 2 is this one. All the bottles are the same except for the number in the middle, as you can see. So we've got Sandalwood, Cashmeran, Saffron, Black Pepper, Blood Orange, and Musk with this one. So are you familiar with this house? Have you heard about it before I told you about it?
No, you introduced me to this house, but being able to get my nose on it and being able to experience them it's been enjoyable. I think they have some good creations. Again, they're a smaller house. They only have 5 fragrances, but I sense similarities with some of their fragrances to other fragrances I've smelled in the past. However, they go in a bit of a different direction. They put their own spin on it.
Twist on it.
Yeah.
So this one to me is a bit Middle Eastern and also leathery.
Yeah.
I would call this a leathery, woody fragrance or woody leather fragrance. Sandalwood is pretty prominent and it's also quite musky. And then you've got saffron in here, so it gives you that leathery edge. Unfortunately, this is not my favorite. It's not my favorite of the bunch. I like number 1, number 4, and number 5, and I'll tell you the ranking afterwards. But to me, I'm a bit bored of fragrances like this one.
I agree. Do you get the black pepper in this?
It's very spicy. It's very peppery.
Yeah.
So it's pretty prominent here, but lots of saffron to give you the leather. That creaminess from the sandalwood comes in as well. I don't think it's a bad fragrance, and I'm sure there's an audience for it. Sadly, 2 and 3 are just a bit boring for me.
Yeah, the pepper tickles my nose a little bit in a way.
Are you a fan of pepper?
Not really.
No?
And we've talked about this before with incense.
There's too many similarities between you and I.
I know. We're
what the heck? Do you also get incense from black pepper?
No, I do, and I get black pepper from incense. It's like kind of interchangeable for me, and
I'm not the only one that thinks of that?
No, not at all. And I've actually met other people who have shared that as well, who get pepperiness from incense, which I found interesting. I was like, ooh, cool.
Yeah, I did a blind first impressions off of the new Dior New Look, not New Look 1947, New Look. It was an incense fragrance. It was frankincense, but definitely there was a pepperiness there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That new that new look definitely is a lot different from the 1947.
Yeah, very
Changed
different.
it a lot.
Very different.
Not what we're talking about, but anyway.
Back to ADAMO Parfums.
Anyways.
All right, next up we've got number 3, this one right here. As you can see, really, really gorgeous bottles. This totally takes me back to the 20s for some strange reason. And also, as I said, Harlequin from the DC comics.
Oh, yeah.
Totally reminds me of her. This is what she would be wearing, I guess.
Yeah.
So Incense, Leather Accord, Cardamom, Saffron, Amber, and Rhubarb. This one's definitely very leathery and smoky. And this one, again, once again, it's reminding me of a Middle Eastern style fragrance. You can totally pick that up when you smell it. A lot of Middle Eastern style fragrances here. The leather is really, really prominent. It's a bit animalic, perhaps.
Yeah.
Not overly.
A little bit animalic, but I think the saffron kind of allows it to be a little bit more, like Sebastian says on the channel a lot, it's like a little bit more fabric and suede-y. It's not fully suede, but it doesn't necessarily go super, super animalic in my opinion. Again, the incense is there. It's not super prominent, but the rhubarb, that's a nice contrast.
Yeah, it adds a bit of freshness for us. Just a light bit of freshness. Again, number 2 and number 3 are not my favorites from the house, but we are going to number 4 next.
We are going to number 4. Four is where it gets fun.
Do you like 4?
I do like 4.
This is number 4 right here. ADAMO Parfums number 4. It's notes of oud Assafi, vanilla, amber, Bulgarian rose, cashmere, musk, and bergamot. And what are your thoughts about this one?
It's a very nice oud. It's a pleasant oud. And it's not in your face. It's not super animalic, but the vanilla comes through. And I think that tones down the qualities of oud a lot.
I'm not too familiar with what oud Assafi is, but I like what it does here with the notes. The vanilla adds the sweetness, the creaminess. The amber adds, of course, the amber touches and intensifies the fragrance next to the oud. And then you've got some fresh Bulgarian rose thrown in.
Yeah.
Gives you the very, rosy edge the fragrance has. And of course, musk and bergamot added as well to kind of freshen it up and extend the life.
Yeah, we always mention how the oud rose combo is so overplayed. This one, it's a little bit different in my opinion. It's not necessarily like every other oud rose I've smelled because the rose, like Sebastian said, it is a bit fresher. It's not that jammy, syrupy rose that you get with a lot of oud rose combos. So that little contrast is nice, and I think the vanilla, they used just the right amount of vanilla in here. I think this is a really good fragrance from this house.
Yeah. I really like this one as well. And then the next one, the 5th fragrance in the collection, 5, the fragrance I was showing you earlier. It's Australian sandalwood, Cambodian oud, tonka beans, leather oud, chocolate, Brazilian coffee, and ginger. Can you guess I'm a fan of gourmands?
I can totally pick that out. And I'm a fan of gourmands as well. I love them. I think they're great.
Yeah, this one's an oudi gourmand, which is kind of a nice contrast for me. You get a nice balance of really intense, slightly animalic oudi touches. And then you've got the gourmand touches as well, which is a nice balance for me. I really like number 5 a lot.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a leatheriness in there from leather oud, and then the chocolate and the coffee, like Sebastian was saying, as well as the tonka bean, it just adds this really nice gourmand, foodie aspect to it where it just kind of becomes a little tasty. And then the oud is also there. So it's this nice contrasting yin and yang between the dirty filth and then the and the stuff you want to eat and indulge in. So I think it's a really interesting take. And I'll just say it. I have this at number 1. I think this is a really good fragrance.
That's my number 1 too. But the thing is, I mentioned that I've been bored of oud, especially rosin oud, but oud in general I've been bored of. This is an exciting oud for me. It's the whole gourmand quality. I love gourmand fragrances. I love to eat chocolate and coffee.
You love
and
your
all.
coffee.
Yeah, so having it in a fragrance really does nice. And of course, makes it a little more exciting for oud fragrances. So yeah, this is number 5, my favorite of the bunch as well.
Yeah.
Before we do the ranking, I do want to mention there is a coupon code for these fragrances. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video. Seb25 gives 25% off all the 100 mLs that we're talking about today. And it has free delivery globally along with 2 free samples.
Jump on it, guys.
So my number 5, unfortunately, is number 2.
Yeah.
Is that your number 5?
That's, yeah, actually it is. Funny enough. It was 1, and then I switched it for number 2. just because one started speaking a bit more to me. But
yeah, unfortunately, like I said, 2 and 3. I'm a bit bored of these styles of Middle Eastern fragrances. I have so many. I want something refreshing and different, and so it ranked at number 5.
I will say number 2 does have a nice patchouli aspect to it. I get a bit of a patchouli vibe from it. But
and the thing is, yeah, I can toss up between 3 and 2.
Exactly.
3 was a little more interesting, but the dry down of 2 is quite nice.
Yeah.
So 3 is number 4 for me. 3 is a lot more leathery as well.
My number 4 was number 1. This is so confusing.
Yeah, the number thing.
Yeah, seriously. Number 1 just fell short for me. Again, I think the reason I had number 2 and I interchanged 2 for 1 is because number 2, that leathery aspect is just very common nowadays in perfumery. And number 1 stood out just a little bit more to me, and I could see it being a bit more of a pleasant wear and a bit more of an exciting wear, in my opinion. But both are very interchangeable.
Well, my number 3 is number 1.
Okay.
Even though it gives me the reminder of Dior Homme Intense and things like that, I much prefer 4 and 5. I mentioned that all throughout the video. I think 4 and 5 are a really nice job done. Maybe perhaps 1, 2, and 3, since they were launched first, they were still trying to figure out how to
testing the water,
what directions to go to in fragrances.
Yeah.
But still, number 1 is definitely deserving of the number 3 spot.
What's your number 3 or number 2?
Wait, is that your number 1?
No.
Oh, you're
so my number 3 was number 3.
This is confusing.
I know. So
you're confusing me, dude.
Sorry, we're on number 2 now.
We are on number 2?
Yeah, we are on number 2.
Okay, my number 2 is number 4.
Okay. That's my number 2 as well.
Yeah, my number 2 is number 4 for sure. I like the rose and the creamy vanilla and the oud combo.
Yeah.
It's a bit more of a breath of fresh air kind of an oud rose combo.
It smells energetic to me, and I think it's probably coming from a place where the rose isn't too like sticky and jammy and like kind of like molassesy, and yeah, I don't know. The rose is very fresh, and that is giving me a bit of like this like effervescent like spark from the fragrance, which I'm picking up, and I usually don't get that from oud fragrances.
Yeah.
Ouds are oftentimes, as you folks probably know, are very heavy and just daunting fragrances to get used to. This one is palatable because of that fresh rose, and I think that's a really cool aspect.
Yeah, the rose is definitely not the jammy side, and what I get from the jamminess, it's more like a syrupiness. It's from the vanilla that's in there as well.
I agree.
Yeah. And number 1 is number 5.
Same.
Number 1 is number 5.
Number 1 is number 5.
Number 5 is number 1.
Yeah.
No.
No, it's not. No.
No, 5 is number 1.
Wait. Not for me. Number 1 was number 4. For me, number 1 was number 4. For you, number 1 was number 5.
Wait. Number 1, the first place is number 5.
Wait. Yeah. You're right. If you folks are following along,
what?
Good job.
Yeah. So this fragrance right here, this is number 1.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that what you have?
That is correct.
Okay. Did we confuse them enough?
Are you confused enough, folks?
And one thing I should show you guys, I didn't do this because I hate doing this because it'll ruin whatever's hidden under. But look, this comes with a little...
Oh, I like that.
Anyway, now it can get damaged, but I always usually leave these things on.
That's quite nice, though.
Yeah.
I like that's a good feature. It's interesting. Anyway. Perfume bottles don't usually do that. They don't usually
cover up the screen and it'll get all blurry. Anyway, no, number 5, as I was saying earlier, it's a really great oud fragrance because I was a bit bored of oud and I want something exciting. And the addition of the coffee and the chocolate in here makes it exciting. And even though it has the leathery touches and the oudy touches and the sandalwood and everything, I think it's a really nicely done fragrance.
Yeah, it's that gourmand edible funk that people strive for in perfumery. And it's tough to get to, and they got to it here, and they did a very good job executing this fragrance. And yeah, it's a good balance between that yumminess and that funkiness, and they hit it on the head.
I've smelled some really bad gourmand oud fragrances on the shitty side.
Yeah, I'm sure. And it just makes you not want to eat it.
This is not that. This you do want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, guys, as I said, there's a discount code. I have it in the info box. Use it if you want. But this is ADAMO Parfums house. Let me know if you've discovered this house. What do you think about the bottles? What do you think of the sound of the fragrances? please add a comment below so I can find out, or we can find out.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please list it. Otherwise, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.